Welcome into College Football Smothered and Covered. My name is Barrett Sallee. I appreciate you guys checking out the show. A reminder, and I say this every single show, and if you watch this show or listen to the show regularly, I apologize that I'm a broken record, but I am, in fact, a broken record. I want you, the loyal viewer, the loyal listener, to share this show. Write a review, positive or negative. I don't really care. If it's negative, great. I want to know what we're doing wrong. But more importantly, viewers and listeners, I think it's important that you watch and listen to everybody, whether it's all of the great podcasts across the Believe Network, whether it's Late Kick with Josh Pate, Andy Staples on 3, whether it's JD Piquel over at On 3, SEC Unfiltered, SDS, that SEC podcast, Solid Verbal, don't care. All of them. College football is undercovered. And we are here for you. We are here to infotain. And that's what we're going to try to do today. The NFL draft is this weekend. Obviously, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday is the first round. And there are odds all over the place. BetOnline AG, they have odds on everything you can possibly imagine. So we're going to break some of those down in this show. We're going to do it a little differently, though. Yes, we'll talk about where they should be drafted. I'm not the biggest draft guy. I'm not going to fake my way through it. Team needs are something I watch the college game. I don't watch the NFL game all that much. Now I do in the playoffs, but I like to judge these teams and judge these players through the college lens. And so that's what we're going to do on today's show. One player we aren't going to talk about because it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he's going to be the best tight end, the top tight end selected in the NFL draft, is Brock Bowers. And Georgia fans, if you want to support Brock Bowers and show your love to Brock Bowers, go to BreakingT.com. You can get this shirt, throw it to Bowers. There are a lot of other shirts out there related to Brock Bowers. There are some for Carson Beck. And if you're not a Georgia fan, doesn't matter. They probably have the shirt for you, whether it's NIL shirts, whether it's legacy shirts from players of old, or even shirts from the moment. The slogan is wear the moment, because if something viral happens, bam, it's up on Breaking T within a matter of minutes. So go to breakingT.com/smothered and covered. That's breakingT.com/smothered and covered if you want to check out their line. And it's not just shirts. They've got coffee mugs and other stuff as well. So go to breakingT.com/smothered and covered. All right. It is the NFL draft. And betonline.ag has odds for everything. And this one really jumped out to me. And I want to talk about it in depth. Total quarterbacks selected in round 1, 4.5. Now, we can kind of go through the motions and figure out exactly who these quarterbacks are going to be. You know, it's going to be Caleb Williams. It's going to be Jaden Daniels. It's going to be Drake May. You know, the guys that we all expect. But 4.5 seems low to me because it's an offensive-driven year for basically every draft prospect. You look at how this draft is shaped up. I mean, you're talking about maybe 18, 19 offensive players selected. What's the most important position? Well, it's quarterback. So you're telling me out of all these players, out of all these superstars out there, to win that bet, only 4 quarterbacks? Nah, I don't see this one bit. I don't see it one bit. I'd go over. And look, this is unsolicited betting advice. I can't tell you what to do, but I'll tell you this. What we've seen in the past in the NFL draft, and we see it pretty much every year, teams will trade up to get their guy at quarterback. If you've got 4 that are basically foregone conclusions, which you do, will there be a 5th? Will there be a 6th? That somebody who might be considering getting a signal caller in the 4th or 5th round, they don't really care who it is, but they have their eyes on 1 or 2 guys, and if things fall into place, they might select them. Yeah, there's going to be a couple of those teams. There always are a few of those teams. that look around and say, yeah, we got to get him. We just have to do it. So if you look at the draft order right now and nothing changes, yeah, under is the play. There are always changes. And look, this is one thing that sidebar. Mock trades and mock drafts bother me. You're just making stuff up if you're doing a mock trade and a mock draft. Anybody who's considering a trade is not telling any mock draft people what that trade might be. You're just pulling something out of thin air. With that said, there will be some trades toward the end of the draft of the first round. And this is one number that sort of proves to me that there will be more than 4.5. And it is Bo Nix, the former Oregon, former Auburn quarterback, over under 32.5. Now, let me remind you guys, that's kind of on the doorstep of the first round. You're not just on the doorstep. Your finger's about, I don't know, an inch away from the Ring doorbell. Your phone's already going off. The owner of the house, their phone's already going off because their Ring doorbell already has motion detected. That's how close that number is to the first round. So let me ask you something. If you're a GM and you're like, oh man, I got like the 35th spot or whatever, and I don't really care who has the 35th spot. It's, I could make a trade to get there, maybe maneuver my way to get late in the second round to get somebody else, but I really kind of like Bo Nix, and I don't want somebody to grab it. Do you move up? Hell yeah, you do. You absolutely move up to the first round. And so to me, it's not only that Bo Nix will be drafted in the first round. I would take over. How do you do this actually? Oh, over 32.5 position, under 32.5 position. You get plus 150 for under. Bo's getting drafted in the first round, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting drafted in the first round. And to me, I think part of the reason I believe that is you think about where he was. He started as a true freshman at Auburn and played very, very well. I think there's this sort of misconception out there that Bo Nix was just a failure at Auburn and it was all full of this drama and blah, 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 and all that. No, that's not how it was at all. Bo Nix beat Bama. Bo Nix went to Death Valley against LSU in their national title year and damn near beat LSU. It was 23-20 with like 3 minutes left, something like that. Bo Nix was really, really good as a true freshman. Now, things did get a little sketchy. COVID didn't help. Coaching turmoil didn't help. The pressure on Bo Nix didn't help. But then he goes to Oregon and is successful there, wildly successful. Was in the Heisman hunt both seasons. Now, as a junior, I guess it was a first senior year, whatever it was. He got hurt late in the season and things didn't work out. That was his true senior year. And things didn't work out. That's fine. He didn't win the Heisman Trophy that year. Almost does the next season. What about Bo Nix scares NFL teams? I don't know. The injuries? Okay. Quarterbacks get hurt all the time. The thing about the draft that really is bizarre to me is that there is so much concern around quarterback injuries. Players get hurt, folks. It's a physical game. I don't think right now you can call many players injury prone. You can just say, hey, yeah, they got injured. And if they worked past it and were successful, why does it even matter all that much? And in Bo Nix's case, it doesn't. Because after all of that, played just fine. was pretty darn solid. So that to me, A, Bo Nix, I think will be a first rounder, and B, over 4.5 picks in the first quarter. I'm sorry, over 4.5 quarterbacks selected in the first round. All right, BetOnline AG has these. First running back drafted. And for those of you who are not watching on YouTube or Rumble and are listening on Apple. I'm just going to run through these real quick. Jonathan Brooks at 3-2, Trey Benson at 9-4, Blake Corum 5-1, Marshawn Lloyd 9-1, and then Jalen Wright at plus 950, and then it goes way south. Will Shipley at 28-1, Audric Estime 33-1, Ray Davis 33-1, Braylon Allen at 50-1, and Bucky Irving at 75-1. I don't know why Blake Corum is third on this list. Maybe it's the injury thing. And for running backs, okay, I just said it's not that big of a deal for quarterbacks. A little bit bigger of a deal for running backs. Get that completely. But should Blake Corum be behind Trey Benson and Jonathan Brooks? I don't think so. Not based on their college careers. Now, will he actually be drafted behind those two players? Probably. And BetOnline AG creates these based on where they're to be drafted, not based on their college careers. So I am thoroughly confused by the draft process and the unwillingness to buy in to Blake Corum from these scouts. Because clearly the scouts have concern. A little concern anyway. BetOnline AG is not making these odds out of thin air, folks. They exist to make money. So I don't really know what's up with Blake Corum. The guy led Michigan to the playoff. Yes, he got hurt 2 years ago when Donovan Edwards came in. But he was the heart and soul of that Michigan team. And he was the heart and soul of that Michigan team last year when they won it. He handled adversity. All of those Michigan guys handled adversity. So, to me, yes, the injury is a little bit more concerning for a running back than it is for a quarterback, and that's just reality. But if I'm drafting, would I draft Blake Corum over Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson? Yes. Yes, I would. I think Blake Corum's going to be a superstar, folks. I really do. Speed, body, talent, all of it. Intuition, pass blocking, all of it. Nothing against Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson. I love Trey Benson. That dude was great for Florida State. I was touting him for a year and a half. But I'd love to talk to people, to scouts, in an honest moment that tell me the truth about Trey Benson. Because, not Trey Benson, I'm sorry, Blake Corum. Because in this day and age, this time of year, if I were to talk to a scout or a GM, most of the time they're posturing. Just a little bit. You have to sort of pick and choose and weave through what's real and what's manipulation. So I love Blake Corum. I don't necessarily understand why there's maybe a willingness. I guess it's the injury, but there's nothing about that kid that suggests to me that he can't be successful at the NFL level. All right, a guy I love, A.D. Mitchell. Over and under position at 27.5. Now the odds are at under 27.5. So we're thinking, okay, late first round. I understand the odds being there because that's reality, right? We talked about it with running back. The reality is that's what scouts think of him. We can sort of figure out exactly, where players are being slotted. But A.D. Mitchell is going to get drafted higher than or earlier than 27.5. Why? Because I think from a talent standpoint, from a speed standpoint, from a ball skill standpoint, from a route running standpoint, he's phenomenal. From a clutch standpoint, that's the most important thing. He is phenomenal. Big time catches in pretty much every Georgia game when he was there in 21 and 22, including the game winner against Alabama to win Georgia's first title in January of 2022 for the 2021 season. Goes to Texas, same thing, clutch all day long, right? So if the draft order stays the same and we look at team needs and whatever, And I'm not really big on team needs because all of this changes during the draft anyway. But strict team need all the way down, yeah, that feels about right. But this is a guy that I think a GM or a scout can fall in love with. And all it takes is one, folks. All it takes is one. There will be a team that sees him slotted, that have him, let's just say a team thinks he's like the 20th best player in the draft. And he's still there after 20. You trade up and take him. You trade up and take, and something tells me there's going to be a lot more than one team that has fallen in love with A.D. Mitchell. There will be more than one team that falls in love with A.D. Mitchell and has him as best player available up in the mid-teens, high teens. And at some point, you just say, you got to go get him. You got to go get him and make a trade. I mean, hell, we're doing mock trades and mock drafts now. Why don't we do a mock real trade or real trade out of a mock draft? Whatever. There was a joke in there somewhere. I don't know where it is. It was just bad. I apologize. You should not be friends with me. Well, yes, you should, but still, I apologize. But A.D. Mitchell's a guy I love. I absolutely love him. First cornerback drafted. We're going to go down quick. Quinan Mitchell, 2-3. Terrion Arnold, 5-4. Cooper DeJean, 14-1. Nate Wiggins, 18-1. Kool-Aid at 50. Ennis, Rekishaw, and TJ Tampa at 100. We had Terrion Arnold on SiriusXM, or we replayed it, I should say, on SiriusXM on Sunday morning on College Sports Sunday. And is he going to get drafted before every other cornerback? No, he's not. But this is a dude who you can trust to be a superstar. At corner, he's locked down. Tackling, not afraid to do that. Put the work in? Absolutely, he puts the work in. Look what he did at Alabama. He worked his tail off to be a starter, and now he's going to be a first-round pick. Everything about that kid I love. So NFL GMs, again, sort of the same thing I've been wondering for a while. Why Quinan Mitchell? Is there something in the MAC that makes you think that he can be a superstar? To me, Quinan Mitchell pretty much is one of these draft process darlings. Doesn't mean he's not good. Doesn't mean he's not going to be successful. I absolutely think he can be successful. Tape don't lie. Tape don't lie. And Terrion Arnold, to me, his tape is pretty darn solid. All right, last thing before we get out of here. First, DL/Edge. Dallas Turner at 10-11. Liatu Latu at 5-2. Byron Murphy 9-2. Jared First 5-1. Chop 50-1. Jazon Newton at 50-1. All right. First of all, my Falcons are probably going to be very in tuned to some of these guys. For the life of me, I don't know why Jared Verse is fourth on that list. I love Dallas Turner. He is a monster. I would take Jared Verse. He should be a Falcon. The Falcons will probably be in the market for the first edge selected. Please, God, let it be Jared Verse. Now, it's the Falcons, so I know how this generally operates. They are going to write down somebody's name on a piece of paper who doesn't even exist, walk it down to Roger Goodell, trip on an internet cord on the way down there, lose the piece of paper, and 3 teams will rush up before the Falcons. Then they'll figure out where the paper is, run back, write somebody else's name down, and it'll be out of ink. That's how the Falcons roll. But Jared Verse, I mean, the dude has put in more work than I think any player in this draft, going from Albany now to where he is. Was incredible 2 years ago. Was essentially the point of focus for every offense this year and still was successful. Are injuries concerning? Fine, whatever. I don't care. Injuries are all over the place for every football team and every football player. If the Falcons end up with Dallas Turner, totally fine. 100% on board. Be 100 and I hate saying that. Not 110%. Little more on board with Jared Verse. So that, to me, this list, first defensive lineman / edge selected, is the most interesting of this group, because I could see a ton of teams going with Turner, Latu, Murphy, or Verse. And that's probably why Verse at 4th on this list is only 5-1 from BetOnline AG. Now, what it does say is hotly contested. That's going to be a hotly contested battle. And you can see those odds on BetOnline AG. That'll do it for this edition of College Football Smothered and Covered. Hey, appreciate you guys checking out the show. Reminder, share the show. Give us 5 stars. Give us 1 star. Write a review, positive or negative. I do not care. All I'm here for is to provide a little bit of content for your college football viewing and listening pleasure. And you know what? Everybody else is too. So just build an ecosystem. Build an ecosystem around your college football content, because you deserve it. Until next time, talk to you soon.